Right, so the next job is changing the air filter, and I'm going to replace the standard paper air filter with this DNA long life high performance filter. So this side panel just clips off, it just pulls off. So if you pull it off from the rear first, and there's a couple of clips at the front, you can pull it off. And incidentally, if you've not had it off before, you can see clipped on the inside of here, that is the toolkit. That is the total extent of the, I'll just bring it in a bit closer to the camera, that is the total extent of the tools that come with this bike. This one little key here that's got like a flathead headed screwdriver on this end, and then like an Allen driver on that end, and that's it. That's all you get with the bike. Anyway, that's the side panel off, and you can see it fastens on with these 3 points here, which incidentally I just put a little bit of rubber grease on those just to lubricate them. And then what we've got here is the various relays, the fuse box. This is the fuse box. This extra stuff here that's the extra wiring that I put in to go up to my navigator system, the front. So I've wired that in from here, and that's an inline fuse. This is the plug for you plug into the diagnostics for the ECU diagnostics. I'll be coming to that later when I run all the diagnostic checks and reset the service interval. The first thing you've got to do then is remove this plate. It's a T20 torque thing, but what I'll do is I'll just pull these various relays off. They just clip on. Pull the relays off first, and then it's easier to remove the and the fuse box as well. It's easier to remove the plate if you just unclip all of those first. There we are, that's them off. Now there's this big fuse here, the big 30 amp fuse as well, which you've got to disconnect. But anyway, I'll unscrew these torque first. So there's 4 of them, I should say. This one here, or I'll zoom in, hang on, so you can see better. Right, hopefully you can see there's 4. There's this one here, one here, and one down there. So I'll just undo those. I've done all 4 screws on here now, so this is loose. So this 30 amp fuse you have to feed through the gap there, and then you can pull this plate out of the way. I've not taken these ones off the bottom because you don't need to, just tuck them out of the way. And there we are, we've got to this is the cover on the air filter. So again, got to undo, already done that top one there, so got to undo these other 3 Torx fasteners, and then we can get the air filter out. Just move the camera so you've hopefully got a better view of what I'm doing, but I've taken the screws out of the cover, and this just slides out, and this is the housing for the air filter. Bit fiddly to get it past this cabling. Just going to wiggle it a little bit, it does flex, and get that out. There's a big main harness there in the way. Right, there we are, and that's the air filter house. So that's the old air filter there, the paper one, which just sits in, and pull it out, and that's the outside edge of it. You see there's a few bits of seeds and things caught in there. Looks like you can see. Right, and that I can see that it's quite dirty, is that filter. So that's going in the bin, and it's going to be replaced by the new fabric filter. So here's the new DNA fabric filter. Just taking it out of its packaging. You can see it's like a mesh, well, holds it in place, and then it's fabric, oiled fabric inside. That's oiled. Compare it to the old paper filter. Get the 2 side by side there. You can see. So pop this into the filter housing. So it just slots in place like that, and then we can reinsert that into the airbox. As you slide it in, you've got to make sure that it sits in place at both ends, and you know you've got it in right when it sits flush, when it sits right in flush like that. So I know I've got that in there, and it's located at the other side, you know, the back side of the bike in the slot there. Right, so I can now reinsert the torque screws and fasten this in. Right, so that's the filter housing back in. Put this plate that holds the fuses and relays and things. Could have took that 30 amp fuse back through the hole there, and then everything realigns, and I can put these other screws back in here now to fasten this plate back in. Clip the fuse box back in place, just clips on there. All these relays are still where I had them before, so put these ones back on. It's fairly obvious what order they go in because of the cables. It's not critical, of course. They'll just clip on like that. Oops. Then just make sure everything else is sitting neatly back in where it should do. Took everything in because obviously I've pulled it all out to so that's everything tucked back in there. Right, I'm not going to bother putting the panel back on because the next job is going to be to plug in the diagnostic tool and do the electronic check, so I'll just leave that as it is at the moment. If you own one of these scramblers, you may have seen the video on YouTube done by Tech Bike Parts in which they fit the high flow air filter and then remove the snorkel from the intake of the airbox, and they say that improves the airflow and therefore the performance. So hey, in for a penny, in for a pound. As I've fitted a high flow air filter, it's not a K&N like the one which Tech Parts sell. It's actually a DNA one, but I might as well have a go. So let's have a look at that. So if I remove the seat, and then you have to remove this plate here to get to the air intake. There's just 3 screws. There's 2 here and one at the back. Just holds this plate in place. By the way, if you're wondering what these cables are here, one of them is for my electrically heated vest in winter, and the other one is to connect the battery up to mate or any other accessories. They both just link directly to the battery, so I can just plug stuff in like that, and they've both got an inline fuse on them, obviously. Right, so that's the plate off. And this is the air snorkel. I'll just move the camera in a little bit closer. I've just moved the camera around so where you've hopefully got a better angle. So this is the airbox here, this is the air intake, and this is the snorkel that I was referring to. And it's just a soft rubber snorkel, so that just pulls out. Just ease it out over the rim, and then hopefully we'll be good to go without it. Right, so that's it out. So I'm just going so that the air can go straight in there and I can see the filter down there. If I move the camera around, you may be able to see that. Okay, so we're looking straight in there and you can see that's the air filter there. So now the air can just go straight in, straight to the filter and straight through to the fuel injectors. Whereas before with that snorkel, it sort of directed the air over and back round again. So I'm just taking on face value what's said on the Tech Bike Parts video about that improving the airflow. They said they've done some flow testing on that. So yeah, give that a go and see what happens. So what you have to do then is sort of recalibrate the system, which you do by switching on the engine without touching the throttle, let it warm up, let the bike run for about 20 minutes on tick over, and the ECU automatically recalibrates for that. So I'll be doing that when I finish this video. Whether it'll make a big difference or not, I don't know, but give it a go and see.